800-440-7029. Call Jason at J&M Landscaping. Tell him you heard it here on The Drift or you saw it in The Current, and you want to get that 20% off. Okay, so we've got Gary on line one. Gary, we were talking before the break. Your concern was that a pilot should know what he's dropping ordnance-wise, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And that was established at Nuremberg, that whoever does the act is responsible for it.
Okay. So as Ed and I were talking during the break, but what if, because there was such a, from a chemical weapons standpoint, only 80 people, I think, just over 80 people died, that maybe somebody altered his missiles, it was tagged Gary, as a normal ordnance,
Gary, I'm the resident military expert on the show because I was in the Air Force. I rode in airplanes and I watched them fly overhead.
I'm the expert on the line because I was in the Navy on the aircraft.
Okay, so you loaded them up, right?
Yeah.
I was flight deck. I was not ordnance itself. No.
Okay. Well, that's all right. I was radio. I didn't have much to do with armaments at all. But what I'm getting at, what Gary and I were talking about is, if I ruled the world and I want to run an attack with nerve gas, the best dispersal of that is an airburst. It isn't burying it into the middle of a road and then watching it go off. And we're reading an article in The Guardian that described they were the first people on the scene, it turns out. And they were talking about this crater in the ground and how the containment of the gas was very close to that area and it didn't spread. And so that, I think, kind of lends credence to the thought that somebody may have substituted some armament that wasn't supposed to be there, or
altered it.
Yeah,
maybe again that's why there was such a small amount of people. Maybe they just stuck the vial of Syria nerve agent inside a normal
qualify
ordnance.
for getting rained on by 80 or 60 Tomahawk missiles.
Yeah, well, it's interesting though, Gary. What else you got? Anything?
Yeah, that's a pretty Machiavellian of you, but I agree. It could happen. Anything could happen. And yes, about the sarin gas or any gas attack. We are preoccupied as a race with killing each other in war. So we try best as we can to keep it as civilized as possible, i.e. the Geneva Convention.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm all for a retaliatory attack against any nation who uses chemical weapons. No doubt about that. But we haven't established if they did yet. I mean, I don't know if we did. Maybe the president does, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But I also think there's selective outrage because 500,000 people have died by gunshots, by bombs, by artillery.
In Chicago.
By getting burned alive, by beheading. So what makes these few people more precious than the rest of them? And then our good friend Reverend Ewell this morning made the reference to the chemical abortion industry where chemicals are injected into the woman and the baby is literally dissolved alive. And there's no moral outrage in America over that. If we got to go to war about something, go to war against Planned Parenthood for slaughtering babies all day. And there's also, in America, we have this sex slave trade going on that we have to acknowledge and go after. So there's plenty of problems all over the world. We don't have to go to our neighbors or across the seas to find them.
Yeah,
They're right here. So
and I think, Gary, that's why a lot of people you'll see them on Twitter and Facebook that are Trump supporters, but now they're kind of angry because why are we getting involved? Let's make America great first and then worry about other people. But you know what? We'll get into this next half hour, some of the other reasons for that. Thanks for the call, Gary. Great call as always.
See you, Gary.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Let's take a call from, hold on there, Steve in Ann Arbor. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, Steve.
Hi. I was in the Army during the Vietnam War.
Thanks for your service.
Every week we had NBC training, nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare. Sarin gas is known in the military as GB agent. It's a binary nerve agent, which means it consists of two parts.
So they have to
mix those two parts and you get gas.
Okay.
If you don't mix them, it's not dangerous to handle in and of itself. But it takes a special kind of bomb to disperse it. You can't just screw it on the end of a missile
Ziploc bags.
Put pens on it and drop it out of the sky.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Steve, what are the other theories is, not my theory, it's other people's theories, is that ISIS may have had a stockpile of weapons there, including some chemicals of sarin gas or whatever, or whatever the binary chemicals are, and that an explosion may have somehow exposed those people to those chemical agents? Is that possibility?
My Machiavellian idea was that actually ISIS knew that there would probably be an attack here, and they stationed a suicide bomber wearing a sarin gas vest.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's if we're going to put our tinfoil hats on, Ed, you're the right guy to be here for it. But, I guess I'm going to quote like what Gary said. I'm reserving my judgment on what happened because I don't know. And even that one track from the UN, they said the possibility of sarin nerve gas because the symptoms look like it, but they haven't come up with any proof yet. And forensically speaking, doggone it, we've got the ability. We should know not only if it was sarin nerve gas in the next few days, we should know whether it was an airdrop from a plane or if it was something on the ground that exploded, right?
Well, the military apparently has radar track of a flight over the area and to the airfield where they attacked, back and forth twice. And there were 2 bombs dropped, according to the military. I tend to not discount their theory since they have radar and satellite imagery to back them up.
The 2 bombs is the first I heard.
Yeah, I haven't heard that either. But I guess from your standpoint, like I was listening to Catherine Herridge, who's one of the few journalists that I actually believe, and she's on Fox News, and she's got great contacts in the military. And she said last night the evidence is a lock that it was Assad's forces who dropped that weaponry.
It's what she was told.
But it's what she was
Didn't
told.
see it.
It takes a fair amount of technical expertise to fly an aircraft and drop a bomb. So I would tend to not think ISIS was in possession of that particular technology.
Yeah, but they might have had a sarin nerve bomb, right? A shell, an artillery shell that they were able to set off, or that was just sitting there and it got struck by overhead ordnance, right? That's a possibility.
Well,
I'm not trained, and I could tell a joke and drop a bomb.
And you do.
But you know what I'm saying. It's like there's a lot of theories out there, but until somebody gets to the site and actually takes soil samples, we're really speculating.
Yes, that's exactly right. And that's why I'm kind of reserving judgment. I wanted to go off on Twitter, and I thought to myself, you know what? I don't know the truth. I'm not sure our government even knows the full truth at this point. All I can do is hope that they will tell us the truth when that information becomes fully available.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the call, Steve. Great discussion, man.
Chemical gas agents, though, is the winds can blow it away. So that's one reason they didn't use them after World War I was because they were poisoning their own people.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Well, that's exactly what he's doing is poisoning his own people.
All right. Great call. Appreciate it, Steve. Take care. Let's take a call from Joe in Wyandotte. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm a bit schizophrenic on this one myself. I'm a bit suspicious like you. I'm not convinced it was Assad either. Not to put on an Alex Jones tinfoil hat either, but I just want to speak to the whole Syria situation in general. To me, it's a strategic advantage for the U.S. to allow Assad to stay and those countless factions, all of which are savages, all of which are willing to kill women and children, all of which will use chemical weapons if they have their hands on them, and they've been all over, and it's entirely possible for the rebels or ISIS or Al-Qaeda to have gotten their hands on them during these conflicts, to continue fighting each other there in Syria for decades, having less time and effort, therefore, to meddle elsewhere and fight with us. And I understand and am sympathetic to the notion of it's better to fight them there than over here, but it's even better to let them continue to fight each other forever.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You talk about the factions. Pastor Dietering had, I forget, his Pastor Clark or something like that from Newport on, and they were talking about proof of things in the Bible. And I called in because in my Bible study, we're studying right now the book of Isaiah, where they're talking about this guy named Sennacherib, who was basically fighting Iraq at one point, or Babylon, and they were everything that was going back and forth in the Middle East, and these savage means of warfare that they would have. And we're talking about going back 3,000 years. This is no new thing to the Middle East. And this exact same area.
We can be humane and concerned and the generous nation we are and create safe zones over there to help refugees. Far easier, far more cost-effective, far more humane in the long run to allow them to help them over there, let them rebuild, help them rebuild even, again, cheaper in the long run, and return them to their homeland rather than bringing them over here.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with that.
Joe,
I'd agree with that.
Joe, who benefits with the fall of Assad? Who benefits?
Yeah, we don't really, because it's going to be somebody worse, most likely. I'm not
like
sure
you mean
who
like in
really
Iraq, maybe?
benefits.
Yeah, like it happened in Iraq or Libya.
Yeah.
Yeah, Libya especially. That's the big one. I mean, Syria is likely to turn into, well, less likely because Russia will prop up somebody else in the long run that benefits them.
Well, let's just hope that Donald Trump puts his negotiating hat on, works with the Russians, and if they get rid of Assad, they'll get somebody who's not a head-chopping, put you in a cage, set you on fire type of guy.
A gentler, brutal type.
Well, great call, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right, Assad was good to the Christians. He protected the Christian minority, so I give him a little credit. And he kind of kept the peace with Israel. Yeah, he's involved with Hezbollah, but openly he was not hostile to Israel.
Right.
So,
all right, thanks for the call.
Take care, my friends. Love you guys.
You too. Bye-bye. Let's take a call from Jenny. Jenny in Brownstown. Welcome to the show, Jenny.
Hi, guys. How's everybody?
Good.
Hey,
how are
Jenny.
you?
Good. I'm just going to make a few quick points. He didn't declare war.
Correct.
So he just went over there and, kind of did what Obama hasn't done hadn't done. A
But
little
threatened
bit
to do.
of show of this is what we can do.
Yeah, and that's the upside, Jenny, and we were going to talk about that real quick.
The downside is he didn't declare war.
Yeah, the upside is he made a statement because he's been talking since day one that he's going to be the new sheriff on the block. He's not going to take guff like Obama has done. And you know what? In one fell swoop, and maybe this was all part of the decision, I'm going to launch a bunch of Tomahawk missiles. It's going to cost me some money. Not going to do a lot of damage, but I'm going to make one heck of a statement. And that statement is not only for Assad, but it's for Russia, Iran, North Korea, and China as well, to say, this is me. I'm not Obama. You think I'm not afraid to use a few Tomahawk missiles? I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and use them. So I think the upside is, whether you like his decision or not, the upside is the world is now awakened to the fact that America is not the same America that we've had for 8 years. You now have a guy in office who's not afraid to use the most powerful military on the planet, right?
That's right, and it gives me hope.
Yeah. Well, me too, Jenny. What else you got? Anything?
The other thing is, I hope that now that we know now he can do this, I hope he won't do it too much more before he builds up our military so that we can handle it.
That's right. Williams International up there in Commerce Lake needs a few more engines to build, so let's replace those things before we shoot them all off, right?
Right. I mean, because Obama has wussified and depleted the military, and we've got to be able to handle things enough before we do, much.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
Yep. Well, great call, Jenny. Glad to hear you.
Okay, that's it.
Take care. We'll see you.
Jenny.
Okay.
Let's take a call from Tom in Detroit. Tom, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Real quick, I wouldn't grouse too much about the 59 Tomahawks. I've been told that that's the obsolete technology.
Exactly.
Basically, they're not that accurate, and they're either subsonic or close to it.
They are. They're
The other
500
thing
miles
is-
an hour.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
They're 500 miles an hour. These are subsonic.
Yeah, they're way subsonic then. So they were probably needed to get rid of them anyways.
Well, no, that's what Gary and I were talking about. That. This is a way of clearing
but there's
inventory.
One other thing I wanted to make a kind of compressed download information is notice that the Euphrates River runs right through the middle of Iraq and Syria. And, in the scriptures, in the sixth plague in Revelation, the Euphrates is dried up to make way for the kings of the east. And I believe that's exactly what's going on. It's not the river itself